This is my 2002 Jeep TJ Wrangler, and in today's episode we're going to talk about 5 things I love and 5 things I hate about it. Now, it has been approximately 2 years since my dad and I first made the cut into this Jeep, and to be exact, it was July 6th that we posted the video cutting into this Jeep, and I figure what better time after 2 years of driving it on-road and off-road and learning everything it can and can't do to give you guys a video about the things I love and hate about it. Okay, to start, we're going to talk about the things I love, the 5 things I love the most about this Jeep. It was actually kind of hard, I'll be honest, to make a list of things I love about this Jeep, and it was a lot easier to make a list about the 5 things I hate about this Jeep. So I found that pretty interesting. But number 1 on the list is it's unique, it's different, and that's something I was going for. Functional, but it also, there's nothing else like it on the road, which is something I appreciate and something I wanted. I wanted to be something that you don't see every day in the off-road or Jeep community, and it's something I really appreciate. The time and energy we put into this to make it what it is. So being unique and different, built by us, is something I love and enjoy about driving this Jeep everywhere we take it on or off-road. Number 2 has got to be versatility and capability of this new platform. It has been a huge learning curve understanding what this Jeep can and can't do now that it has been lengthened. But on and off-road performance, to me, has tremendously increased for the good, for the better. I enjoy driving this thing on the street. It is a lot smoother down the road and off-road as well, and I think it's the wheelbase that has helped with that. I have found that obstacles when we're off-roading are sometimes easier or can be more challenging now that the wheelbase is longer. But wheeling the previous platform, the stock TJ wheelbase, versus this, there are a lot of ups and downs, but I have found that I enjoy this more because there's obstacles that now, harder obstacles that favor this kind of wheelbase that I can now do and enjoy without having to bang up my stock wheelbase TJ. Now, I do want to add that the versatility and capability has a lot to do with suspension, wheels, tires, axles, and like that changes a lot, right? If I had street tires on this versus mud terrains. So I just want to let you guys know that that could change everything. It could change the ride, it could change how it performs off-road, but how it is right now, it is very versatile, very capable on and off-road. The third thing I would like to talk about is the bed. I love the bed. Now, as you can see, it does come with some consequences, and you guys can see that I may or may not have hit a tree when I was wheeling last, but all in all, I absolutely love this modification, this addition to the Jeep, and I don't think I could live without it. It has given me so much more opportunity, and I'll go back to versatility with what I can put in here, the types of trips we can go on, longer trips. I can have more gear, more food, just more stuff in general that I can put in here and be more well prepared than I did my stock wheelbase TJ that has no room at all. So and being able to load this thing out and mess around with the various combinations of gear and storage boxes and roto packs and all that stuff has been a lot of fun for me. It's something I really enjoy. The bed itself, the functionality of it, is something I really enjoy and love about this build. While it's not the biggest bed, I do like that it isn't huge. It is just enough room for me and what I like to bring on wheeling trips with me. And typically it's just me that's gonna be in the Jeep, or my dad that's usually with me. But if my dad's in his JK and it's just me in here, then I can really load this out with very minimal stuff and be perfectly fine. I'm not loading this down to where it's Carolina squatting, which is pretty nice. I've found that it's very useful to have the bed, and it's not just another aesthetic. And that's something I wanted in this build. I didn't want to have a bed and it just look good. I wanted to look good and also be very useful, because it's gonna get used, it's gonna get abused. We've bed linered it, so I throw gear in there, I stand in there if I'm taking stuff out. It's nice to be able to use it and not just have it look good. Number 4, reliability, and I'm going to specifically talk about the drivetrain because that is all still stock. The motor, transit, transfer case has all been stock since day 1. I apologize. We actually replaced this motor. My previous 4.0 had a knock in it, and we pulled that out, put another 4.0 in it, and that had about 100,000 miles, and it's been great ever since. But the transmission and transfer case has been stock, never been rebuilt. That is one thing on my list, but I love how reliable this combination of motor trans and transfer case is. Now, it doesn't mean I don't want to upgrade it in the future, but for now, it gives me the reliability and versatility to just hit the road and know that I don't have to worry about a bunch of electronics crapping out on me on the trail. Typically, you can take stuff off and put stuff back on very easily on the trail, which is very nice. But reliability is important to me because my dad and I drive this all over the place. I drive it all over the place. And especially when we drove this thing from Maryland to California, it's not like we had a trailer with us. So if we broke down, we were broken down, and we had to rely on maybe somebody from YouTube, Instagram, something like that, helping us out. I have complete faith in this thing. I have, knock on wood, I trust that I could drive this all over the country and not worry about this motor, trans, and transfer case. Alrighty, we're gonna end with number 5 on the list of things I love about this Jeep. And number 5 isn't necessarily about the Jeep. Well, it is, but it's what the Jeep has brought about since we built it. And that's the experience and the knowledge and people we've met throughout the entire process, the places we've taken it, the experiences and memories. It's something that I wish to continue with my family and the kids I have one day. I appreciate just everything about it, right? The build, the memories I'm making with my dad, or anybody else who wants to wheel with me, camp with me, and keep building it. So, and that goes for, I think, everyone who has that passion for the automotive industry or the off-roading community. You build something, you put blood, sweat, tears, and don't forget, a lot of money into something, and you want to enjoy it. You want to experience the things it brings along with everything else. Sometimes the bad, which is stuff breaking, but you get to enjoy it no matter what. And that's something I really appreciate about this Jeep. Alrighty. Now, the 5 things I hate, probably what you guys have been waiting for. And number 1 has got to be the length. And I know I said the length is something I love, but it is also a love-hate relationship. And that's what a lot of these hates are going to be. But the length, everything it's brought me has been great, but there's some drawbacks. Drivability on-road and off-road, I've found some setbacks. When we're on tight trails and I need to make a sharp turn, or I need to finagle around something, it doesn't have the turning radius of a stock TJ wheelbase or something shorter. I'm now finding myself having to back up and make a 30-point turn around trees and rocks and all that stuff. The turning radius is absolutely terrible. Turning into parking lots, drive-throughs, whatever it might be, you have to account for that when you are driving this thing around on the streets. The next thing is parking. This thing is very wide and very long, and the spots, especially parallel parking, that I was able to park in with my previous platform, the stock wheelbase, I can no longer park in those areas. It was very easy. If you drive a Jeep TJ, a 2-door, not like they made 4 doors, but not a LJ, you know how easy it is to park that thing in tight spots. And that's something I enjoyed about my TJ. Going to the gym, if there were no parking spots, I could parallel park in a little spot, even if 2 people were really close on the ends. That's something I do miss a lot. While I do love the wheelbase, it also has its setbacks. So the length is definitely one thing I do hate about it. The good old 4.0 that I was talking about, how much I love and how reliable it is. Well, when you have 40-inch tires, 1-ton axles, half another Jeep on the back, a rooftop tent, a bed rack, and all the gear, this thing is slow. It is an absolute cow, pig, whatever you want to call it on the highway. There's just no pep in its step, and that is one thing I do not like. Speed is my adrenaline, and I don't get any adrenaline rush from this Jeep driving it on the highway or just on the streets in general. But that might be a good thing, not being able to go fast in this thing, because I don't know how safe it would really be. But it is just slow. It's a weak motor. That is definitely something I want to upgrade in the future. I know I talked about keeping the 4.0 and because of how reliable it is, but an LS in a Jeep or a Hemi in a Jeep is just so much fun because cool noises, and you get to go faster. So that's probably coming in the near future, but for now, we're gonna keep with the 4.0. Even though it's slow, it's still reliable. Yeah, that's the second thing I hate. All right, I apologize if you guys hear any yelling. I tried to come to a quiet little parking lot, but I guess I found some trouble. We're gonna talk about this guy and what specifically goes inside there, because it's not cheap. It's pretty expensive. You know, it comes with a territory. I think everyone who has an off-road rig doesn't expect to have a fuel efficient vehicle, but at the end of the day, it is still expensive. And if you have not watched the video of us talking about our trip out to King of the Hammers, we drove from Maryland to California and back, and the gas bill was not cheap. So if you want to go check that out and find out how much we spent, you can go find out. One thing that is not enjoyable about this is how much we have to fill up, and that also comes down to how I drive it. And it gets better gas mileage on the highway, of course, but I'm typically not driving it on the highway all the time. It's always city use, so I am burning a lot more gas. I know I can't really hate it because I expected it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we're just gonna keep on driving it, because who cares? It's miles per gallon, not miles per gallon. All right, for the fourth thing, I apologize if you guys keep hearing that yelling. I've tried to do this a couple times now, but we're gonna talk about the bed, because it is something, it's a love-hate relationship. And the one thing I don't like, or that is challenging, is the stuff that I put back there is now exposed to the elements. So that's something I had to consider when buying gear and buying things to put the gear in, because now it has to be weatherproof, dustproof, all that fun stuff. And fortunately, it has been easy, but when we're camping in the winter, it's raining, it's snowing, there's mud everywhere. I now have to deal with the challenge of things being dirty, dusty, wet, things like that. While I wouldn't say it's terrible, it is annoying, and I'm sure a lot of you guys with Tacomas and Gladiators and stuff like that have to deal with the same thing. I guess it's something I hate. It's something I put down on my list. We'll move on to number 5. Alrighty guys, the fifth and final thing I hate about this Jeep, and just to let you guys know, hate is a strong word. I wouldn't say hate, but for YouTube I had to say it. I would use dislike, because I wouldn't say I hate all these things, but they're things that do get annoying. The fifth thing has got to be buying off the shelf or parts from websites, things like that, that fit a TJ. It has been very difficult, like things for the bed or things for the cab on, sliders, things like that have to be now modified. I can't just buy them and put them directly on the Jeep. So that's something to think about. Like the suspension in the rear, I know I could have probably put a stock TJ suspension on it with the right brackets and all that stuff. A lot of the stuff has to be custom made, or you have to modify things you buy for it, which is something I really didn't consider when building this Jeep. I figured we'd have to build a lot of stuff for it, but at the end of the day, like, I can't just go buy a soft top for it. I can't just go buy a hard top for it if something breaks. As much as I would love to have a soft top on this, it would have to be custom made, which I haven't even looked into how much that would cost. Something to think about. Oh, and I will add this. This is a bonus thing I hate. I can't recline my seats. So you're stuck with about that much room of like leeway in the back of the cab to like move your seat back and forth. So if you're a passenger, this sucks, but you can't put your seat back. So yeah, that's a little bonus thing I hate, that I just now remember talking about the hardtop, because there's no room to put your seat back and lay down and sleep if you want. So you're kind of just stuck sleeping like a flamingo. Don't they sleep when they stand up? I don't know, but yeah, so there are my 5 things I love and 5 things I hate. Let me know what you guys think. Are there things you love and hate about your Jeep? I'm interested to know. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to be posting more often, hopefully every Monday. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content, hit that subscription. Don't hit the subscription, subscribe to the channel, and you'll get to see more. So see you guys in the next one.